going to go to Keith Downey at Sky Sports. Morning, Keith.
Morning, guys. Morning, Steve.
Hi, Keith.
Steve, can I just start first of all with Carl? How's he looking for this one?
He's still sore this morning, as you can imagine. But he's made a huge improvement than he was on Saturday night. So I think we're just going to have to take it down to the wire and see how he is. Thankfully, it's an impact. There's no tear or anything there, but obviously it's in a very, very sore region of where he's took an awful knock. So we'll see how he is. As I said, he's better than he was on Saturday. Whether he's going to be fit enough, we'll just have to wait and see over the next 48 hours.
Yeah, I guess if you do miss him, it would be a huge blow, because without Dubravka there, he's been one of your best players this season, hasn't he?
He's done fantastically well, waited patiently for his chance, and then was thrown into it really with the freakish nature of Martin's injury. So he's done very, very well. So we hope that he can make it, but certainly we brought Mark in, and Mark's played in the cup competitions and done very well. So we'll have to wait and see how the next 48 hours and see what it brings.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Mark. Is he ready to go in and play in a big Premier League match?
Who, sorry?
Mark Gillespie.
Yes, that's why we brought him here. He's played in the cup and he's played 3 times. And that looks a good shout now, especially if he has to make his debut. He's had some sort of football anyway. Mm-hmm. But he's experienced goalkeeper who's played in the Scottish Premier League for the last 4 or 5 years. So he'll be fine. Of course.
What about the rest of the squad? How are they looking? Any new fresh injuries? Anyone back?
Yeah, I mean, the 3 lads who played in the under-23s in the week have all benefited from that. Clark and Dummett and Matty Longstaff will play again today down at West Brom. So that's hopefully get him through that. His brother Sean is declared himself okay. He's had a real horrible bout of tonsillitis, so he's okay too. So we've got 1 or 2 coming back, and that can only be a good thing.
I guess it's been a pretty bruising week. How are you all as you get towards the end of it? That's my doorbell going. You can probably hear it in the background.
Well.
No, I guess it's been a pretty bruising week, Steve. But I mean, how is everyone going into another?
I mean, at the end of the day, we were 4 minutes away from. That might have been a bit unjust. However, we're disappointed the way it finished, But we were 4 minutes away from 1 each to 4-1. It was awful the last 5-6 minutes. I grant you that, but for large periods in it, there was a couple of big moments on it, especially when you play against Man U, where De Gea pulls off a wonderful save from Callum, and that's when, of course, then that you need the help of the supporters, which I'm not going to lie to you is the biggest miss of all. Especially when you're playing against the big teams, to get their support and get their help, and that's why it's a difficult place to come and play, St James's. However, I think we all understand now that there's no advantage at home at all these days without the support. So we're disappointed that the way it finished, but for large periods in it, we're in it. We give ourselves a chance in it. And, at the end of the day, we've played 5 games, 2 of them against who I believe will be in the top 4. Got another difficult game. We've had an okay start. It hasn't been blistering, but we've still got a bit to do.
It sounds, just listening to you there, that I think you said a number of times now that in this position you just get used to accepting the criticism. But it sounds like you're dealing with it.
Well, look, I'm under no illusion. That if you're a manager of Newcastle, then the criticism flows. So sometimes you think it's a little bit unjust, but it is part and parcel of what we deal with these days with social media the way it is, and every game televised, and you come under huge scrutiny. Mm-hmm. It used to be in the past where you used to discuss it in the pub, and what did he pick him for? And why has he picked him? And now everybody's a manager. So I understand that. It's the beauty of it. It is what it is. So let's just get on with that. I can't stop it. I can't halt it. It's until the next game, and hopefully we can produce a performance which can get us a result, and and we'll go on from there.
If the fans had been allowed to go to the pub this week, I guess they would. One of the main questions they would have been asking is why Miguel Almiron's not played so much this season. Are you able to give him a reason, and do you expect him to be involved soon?
Well, I think that's the beauty. He didn't play at the weekend because he just got off a plane and been halfway around the world, so he didn't get back till Friday. So I think that would have been unjust on him. The game before against Burnley and he hasn't started yet. It was mainly that people had come into the team and played very, very well. And that's what a squad of players is for. Mm. So I know Almiron very, very well. He's a top player, the kid. And I'm sure he'll have a big part to play. And certainly he's in my thoughts for the weekend.
Last one from me, Steve. You made a signing this week, didn't you?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
You made a signing this week. The Alan's former teammate at St Etienne, Florent Indalecio. What's the thinking behind that? Is he for the youths or? Yeah.
He's going to be with the academy. He's going to be the academy and see how he develops over the next year or so. He's got a bit of talent. The kid. We signed a kid from Peru as well, who he played last week as well. So it's one for the future, and he's got a little bit of talent, and we've decided to take a little bit of a gamble on him and see how he gets on this year.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Vicky Sparks.
Hiya, Steve.
Hi, Vic.
Just thinking about Wolves, they've had a great couple of seasons since they come up from the Championship, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, we played against them. I played against them a couple of years ago, and they blew the Championship away. And they had 4 or 5 of the players playing in it where they were just too good for it. They really were an outstanding team. And you have to say well done to them all of what they've done in the last 2-3 years. Certainly in their recruitment of players and the way they are, they're a very, very good side. And what have they finished? They finished 7th twice now. So under no illusion, it's going to be a very difficult game. But they didn't beat us last year. You know, we had 2 good results against them last year. Let's hope we can do exactly the same. And that's what the Premier League is. You know, some very good teams, and I count Wolves, who finished 7th back to back, as a very good team.
And they've drawn the attention, obviously, having to adjust to losing a couple of their big players this summer, Doherty and Jota. When you do so well, that's always inevitable still in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, as I said, they've brought in a couple of players too who, you know, yes, of course, when you get the attention and you play well, then, you know, but you get to that one, how can you deny Jota the chance to go to Liverpool, for example? And certainly when you see him fitting into Liverpool, you realise what a very, very good player he is, the kid. So, part and parcel of it. If the team does well, then, you know, you're gonna lose some, unfortunately, along the way.
And they had a bit of a shaky start this season, but it really responded well to that defeat against West Ham, another of those strange results we've been seeing in the Premier League with so many goals this season.
Well, I think you're right there. I think you are seeing strange results. And strange it is, I think, for all of us. And I think it's now coming to terms that there is no home advantage. That has been proven. So, you know, I think that is just out the window. And I think, you know, the openness of the games is what's the biggest thing of all. You know, we haven't seen so many goals. And the common denominator for me is the empty stadiums in it. It's not quite it's not quite right, you know. So we are seeing some strange results. We're seeing some unbelievable scorelines. So, you know, that's the only common denominator that you can throw at it is the lack of support in these games make it a little bit more open. And whether they're more entertaining, I'm not so sure, but it's certainly difficult. That's for certain.
Is that something you've talked to the players about, just in terms of mental focus? Because that's been another thing that people have wondered without the fans in the stadiums, that pressure that can be good, can be bad, but the mental focus can kind of slip at certain points.
Yeah, the mental side of it too. Or, you know, take, for example, last week when, you know, we're going toe-to-toe against one of the best teams in Europe, then you need your support to give you a hand. That's why home advantage is what it is. And especially at a club like ours who have 50,000 behind you, you know, so there lies this thing of all for me. But certainly you have to try and be mentally. But it's not just the players; it's everybody concerned. I suppose it's even you guys. What we're doing today now, it's when you sit in the press box and there's no real atmosphere here, where the only person I can hear is the commentator behind me. In the stadium, it's quite unreal, but that's the way it is, and we have to get on with it.
We better be careful what we say then.
Well, better from you journalists than probably 50,000. But that's par for the course.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Thanks, Vicky. Mark Shuley.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Mark.
I suppose some of the criticism with the wheels coming off right at the end of that game last weekend was because Man United had probably not a great start for them. But when they went to Paris Saint-Germain, a 1-2-1, did that make you feel slightly better?
Well, everybody said against West Ham was because West Ham was so poor. Then we're all of a sudden, because Man U got turned over at home of Tottenham, then we're supposed to turn over Man U 3 or 4. Look, I always knew that Man U coming, especially after beating so badly, there would be a reaction. And I make no bones about it. They will be in the top 4, in my opinion. They're a very, very good side with really top players, especially at the top end of the pitch. And for me, we were a bit too open. I grant you that, but we're in that little bit of a change at the moment, and we were caught. So, but we were 1 each with 4 minutes to play. So, as far as I'm concerned, we were in the game. We're always going to be difficult. Playing Man United at home in front of 50-odd thousand is a different kettle of fish from playing Man United on an empty stadium. So, that's what it is. That's what it is at the moment.
And Vicky's touched on it, the sort of whole psychological thing of empty stadiums. So you didn't have your 52,000, but you're now going to a very good Wolves team. But of course, they don't have their home crowd at Molineux. So away teams, can they go with more confidence, do you think?
There's no advantage. I think we've seen that now since the lockdown, and since we've played behind closed doors, there is no advantage of playing at home. We're seeing it week in and week out in every division. So, it's something that we obviously have to get used to. What I'm just trying to say is, look, when you're playing against these big teams, our home support is a huge advantage to us. And to be without it is difficult when you're playing against the real big teams. But yes, I get your point. We went to West Ham, who get 60-odd thousand, and went down there and done very well. So it is what it is. We're disappointed with how it finished last week. But let's be fair, we were 4 or 5 minutes away from holding Man U to 1 each. Whether that was justified or whether that was not, there were the facts.
Do you think it may encourage away teams, though, to be more adventurous because there aren't fans?
Well, I think you've seen everybody's more adventurous. I think if you see the goals that's going in at the moment, then for me, the only common denominator of why we can put our finger on this is just the way the game is at the moment without the supporters in the stadium. That's the only thing. And when you're looking at the scores and watching them, seeing Man City get beat 5, Liverpool get beat 7, it doesn't happen. And but at the moment it is. And when we're seeing 3-2s and 3 each, it looks as if teams have forgot how to defend.
And just finally from me, Nuno Espirito Santo, an amazing start to his time at Wolves, hasn't it been?
Oh, they've been, as I just said there, we played against them a couple of years ago, and they had 4 or 5 players in the Championship who were just far too good for them. And then since then, they've obviously recruited very well, and the centre-forward have got arguably one of the best centre-forwards in the league, and they're a very, very good side, so who finished 7th twice, is it? So we know what to expect. They're a very, very good team. It'll be a very, very difficult game, that's for sure.
Cheers, Steve.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, broadcasters.
Thanks, Mark.
Written guys, if you can use the raise hand function now, we'll be with you in just a second. Thank you.